Welcome to episode 2 of 120 Northfield The Podcast. I am your host, Brian Muller. Alongside me, my co-host, Anthony Trullo, and special guest, Jules Heningburg. How's it going on?
It's going well. Thank you for having me.
Great. So, Jules right here, professional lacrosse player, plays for the Florida Launch in the MLL and the San Diego Seals of the NLL. SHP class of 2014?
That's correct, 2014.
Went on to play lacrosse at Rutgers. So, let's get right into the questions.
All right, so you originally didn't come to Seton Hall as a freshman, right? You
Correct.
started out at Columbia.
Yep.
What made you want to come to Seton Hall?
So there's a few reasons why I wanted to come to Seton Hall. First off, my experience at Columbia wasn't great, both academically and athletically. I went there my freshman year. Originally, if you were in Maplewood and you're in my town area, we had a decent lacrosse team, but I was one of the better players, and our team, as far as varsity goes, there was a rule that said, the coach said freshmen couldn't play varsity. So it was a big deal in my town when the coach wouldn't put me on varsity, and it wasn't anything besides my skill set. It was just because he had a rule about it. So from there, the coach really didn't like me that much. So coming to my sophomore year, I had a lot of disputes with the coach. My dad ended up filing a bullying thing against him, whole big thing with the town. So I stayed for that sophomore year because my brother was on that team. The coach didn't like me, not because of me as a person, but it was just really because of my dad and stuff and everything. And academically, I wasn't doing that well there just because I really didn't like going to school every day. I didn't like the situation with the coach. I didn't feel comfortable. So other options to transfer out, I looked at to move to another town, get an apartment, school like Montclair, Glen Ridge, and then Seton Hall was also an option. I knew a couple guys that had gone here from Maplewood, a lot of my buddies, so it just made sense to come here. And Coach G, I spoke to him a lot, and then he helped me get in here and helped me have a good transition to come here. So,
How did Seton Hall prepare you for beyond high school?
I think one of the biggest things when I came to Seton Hall was just every day you show up. I think it's really business-like how they go about everything, which I think at the end of the day, a lot of schools, I don't know if you guys went to public school your whole life, but Columbia was way different. A lot of kids end up falling through the cracks, not doing well. And over time, you see that the stuff that they learn every day at school, that stuff really translates into the real world when you leave. Just getting up every day, getting your life started, coming prepared to work, having a rigorous academic schedule, that really contributes to your work ethic. And it's little stuff like that you might not think about every day when you come to school, that you see a lot of kids don't have those attributes that didn't go to school like Seton Hall when you're in the real world. So.
Yeah, so coming out of Seton Hall, what I've read about you, you weren't heavily recruited by the colleges that you wanted to go to. So at that point, you decided to go to Rutgers. What at that time made you want to go to Rutgers then?
So I went to Rutgers for a couple reasons.
So now, what were the main differences of going to Seton Hall prep to college and playing for college lacrosse?
I think one of the biggest differences in terms of the game, I would say that if you get to college, there's a lot of other stuff that's going on around you. I've seen a lot of players who have way better skill sets than me fall through the cracks and not end up doing anything in college, just because you have to really have a strong mind and be able to overcome grades, the social life, the pressures from your teammates. There's so much stuff that goes into that game day on Saturday. The mental toughness, actually playing in the game, being confident, playing against these big time teams. There's so much stuff that goes into it that I was lucky enough to learn a lot of that as a freshman, and I'm a pretty analytical player, so I was just able to take the things that I learned and really piece them together and make sure I corrected them coming back. But I know a lot of guys, they don't kind of think that way, so they end up having these great skill sets, and that's why you see all these players like Under Armour All-Americans, all those kind of guys, they go to college and they just fizz out. Whereas I think the biggest thing is guys with great resiliency, those are the guys you end up seeing do really well in college.
Nice. So you recently started your own YouTube channel. What inspired you to do that?
As a full-time lacrosse player, and it's just someone who, the kind of guy I am, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to go full throttle with it. So I think that just in 2018, as being a full-time lacrosse player, one of the biggest things you got to do is, you got to be an entrepreneur, and you got to really be pushing out your own content and pushing out your own brand of lacrosse world, because that's really how guys someone like Paul Rabel, he's the biggest in our sport. That's how he became that successful. And just going forward, just with how everything's evolving, media is really important for their brand and everything we do. that's a big part of the PLL is just going to be, developing stories of people and the media and the content behind it. So I just knew that, if I start a YouTube channel, it would give me more access to more kids, be able to get my name out there, build my brand, and just really kind of just develop myself more professionally in terms of lacrosse. So I just felt that if I was going to do it, I'm going to go full throttle with it. So.
Yeah, I watched a YouTube video, and through that I learned you're a pretty big movie guy.
Yeah, I love movies.
What are some of your all-time favorite movies?
My all-time favorite movie is Interstellar. I love Avengers movies, like I love Marvel movies, superhero movies. I just saw A Star Is Born the other day. If any of you haven't seen that, go check that out. Great movie, Bradley Cooper, Lady Gaga. I know American Gangster, Denzel Washington. I love Denzel Washington. Any movie he's really in. So yeah.
Cool, pretty cool. So last question to wrap up, as this is a Seton Hall Prep podcast, what was your favorite memory that you had here at Seton Hall Prep, whether on the field or off?
Favorite memory on the field, I think beating Del Bar in our junior year was unreal, and just my junior year in general, lacrosse season was really fun. I didn't play my first half of that season because of transfer rules. Mm-hmm. So when I came back and started playing, we started winning and stuff, and it was just cool. It was a cool experience to be a part of. And the guys on the team were awesome. Off the field, it's hard to say. I had a great time on Kairos. I went to Kairos twice. That was a lot of fun. I don't know, just at the end of the day, like coming here and just being with all your homies every day at Seton Hall. It's one of those things you take for granted, but when you look back on it, I had a lot of fun just showing up to school every day, just messing around with the guys. Cause, when you graduate and you're done with college and stuff, you just don't really get to see those guys as much. So you definitely take it for granted while you're in the moment, which, is that's always going to happen. But when you get to look back on it and realize that, my friends are living across the country, some guys are down south, and I don't get to see them as much. So I love looking back on the memories, just hanging out every day with those guys.
All right, perfect. Thank you to Jules for coming on today. That was great. Great interview.
Thank you for having me, boys.
Yep. All right, thank you to Jules for coming on. Just some post-interview housekeeping things. Yesterday, soccer beat Kearney 5-1, commanding win, and they will go on to play Milburn in the county tournament on Thursday. Bit of a revenge game against the Millers. So 5-1, big win against Kearney. Yeah. Kearney's, they're called Soccer Town USA. Got this big town. They've always been this public powerhouse. We beat them 5-1. So I've been told this is one of Kearney's worst home losses in Kearney history. Yeah. So obviously big for us. Great for us to get a big win heading into the county tournament. Yeah. Anything else on that?
I don't know. We had five goals. Aiden scored, Will, Rafi, and Sky scored 2. And then Lucas had 3 assists, so he was dishing the ball off.
Yeah, just pretty locked down D. I think 6 shots on goal. Saved first half, same. Second half, only let in 1, obviously. And it was overall just a good game.
Yeah, perfect win for us going into this county tournament. Milburn on Thursday. Everyone get out, get rowdy. Should be a good game. And it's something that the boys really need from us. They need a big Pirate Nation, kind of add that 12th man effect. So get out to the game on Thursday. And another thing, football over the weekend lost to St. Joe's Regional. And we play Pope John, who has not won a game yet. We play them on Saturday at the CAC. We currently have a 2-game losing streak, but, St. Joe's Regional, very good team. They got commits everywhere. So I'm not too worried about our loss to St. Joe's. We can definitely bounce back from that on Saturday.
Yeah, we had good momentum. Obviously coming off a 2-game losing streak, we just need to get that momentum back for the end of the season. And, finish the season strong.
Yeah, if we win, we'll be over 500 for the first time in a couple of years. Which is pretty cool. So,
big milestone for a first-year team, first-year coach. Yeah.
And how about Zach Hoban with another 50-plus yarder from the Rice commit. So good for you, Zach. That'll pretty much do it for the podcast. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you guys sometime next week.
See you, boys.